Hey guys, welcome to COUNTERPOINTLESS, where we've been taking a look at the first season of Deep Space Nine. Today we're just going to finish up the first season of the show. I think we're probably going to take this at least to the end of the second season, maybe further. It kind of just depends on you guys. I noticed there's a pretty fucking active Twitter presence for DS9 under hashtag DS9. So if you guys would maybe put our episodes up there, get a little bit more eyeballs to this series.
Yeah, those of you that
cool.
like it. I mean, I've liked the show so far, despite what we're going to say about these last 6 or so episodes.
Well, I mean, you've been warned. You were warned pretty emphatically beforehand that, hey, the first season of this, not really the strongest season.
I mean, you guys have told me that the first couple of seasons aren't really the best.
I mean, season 2, you see a pretty dramatic increase in quality just immediately. And I think by the time you hit season 4, I feel like the show really hits its stride.
Well, that's cool.
And the last fucking, season 4, season 5.
I mean,
6,
DS9 just gets better with each season.
Yeah, so, I mean, the last 4 seasons of the show, really good.
And
first season, pretty weak. Seasons 2 and 3, kind of like, all right, this is getting better.
I thought you mentioned that we're now doing this on Deep Fat Fried's channel. I mean, it's under its own section, but this is now going to be on DFF. You guys aren't even noticed that.
Yeah, I figure we'll probably end up simul-posting this one, but just so you know, this series is going to continue on the Deep Fat Fried channel.
Yeah,
this episode's already there.
Little extra sprinkling of content for you guys. You guys will see a transition over the coming months of Cinema for Cynics over here to Deep Fat Fried. So
yeah, we just figured the properties are so similar. It didn't really make sense for us to try to develop 2 separate things when there's such an intertwined nature, and DFF already gets into a lot of entertainment stuff anyway.
It just makes sense. It's going to allow us to add more things to our patron buffet. You know what I mean? It's going to allow us to keep expanding that, and it's not going to hinder any of us in any way. I'm still going to do my what the fucks and movie reviews and stuff. I'm just going to be,
I really want to get to. I really want to do some new pitch wars too.
Well, yeah, like I want to do all that stuff, and it's like, look, it's kind of a buffet of content, even for people who don't pay. And if you don't like this DS9 stuff or you don't like the pitch war stuff, well, just watch the show.
Yep. Anyway, sorry to the DS9 fans who are waiting for us to talk about the show. We just had to get some of the stuff out. But let's get right on into it, because we have a couple more episodes than we usually do here, because we just wanted to round out the season. The first episode we're going to talk about, and it's right after the episode where Kai Opaka is taken to the Gamma Quadrant by Cisco, and then she vanishes, and he comes back, and Paul asks, is there going to be any sort of episode dealing with the ramifications of Bajor losing its spiritual leader? And the answer is no. The next episode in the series is The Storyteller,
which it's got to be one of the worst episodes of the 6 that we're going to cover, but we're going to, whatever.
I mean, it's arguable, but it's the lowest rated, I think, on IMDb, sitting at a 6.
So in this one, Chief O'Brien and Bashir beam down to Bajor to have a look at a village there that says that they need some help from the Federation immediately, or else, the village is going to die. So they go there thinking they're going to find a disease, but what they find is this old man that's dying. And it turns out he's this thing called the Storyteller, and he has to, tell this story in front of a rock while this big beast It's terrible. It looks terrible. It's like a terrible effect in the sky that comes out of the sky, but it's called the Darmok. And if he doesn't tell the story right, the Darmok will kill the fucking village.
Yep, tear it apart.
So, but he's dying. He's old and he can't do it no more. So he names, of all fucking dorks, Chief O'Brien as the new storyteller of the village. And, we get to see him do it once against the Darmok, because the Darmok only comes during the summer for like 4 weeks or some shit. And then, it goes away, and the rest of the time it's just a peaceful little village. So we get to see the dude fight the Darmok, and he's like, lo, there is the Darmok. Lo, it reaches its slimy hand forth from the void, but the village is strong. The village, and like as the people get more whipped up by the speech, the Darmok retreats, right? Well, then he makes O'Brien the fucking Darmok, and I don't even know how that works, because O'Brien's got shit to do up on the Enterprise, I imagine. Or not the Enterprise, the fucking...
They don't make him the
DS9.
Darmok. They have some other name for the leader.
Yeah, what is the name they get?
Storyteller.
The Syrah.
The Syrah.
Yeah, they call him the
like-
Syrah, and it's Dalrock, not Darmok, Paul.
Yeah,
Whatever
Darmok,
the fuck.
Angela,
It's really,
Tanagra.
I don't blame you because it's not really worth remembering. It's a really shitty episode. Also, the subplot about this girl who's sent to DS9 to negotiate with...
there's like a land dispute.
Yeah, there's a land dispute between her tribe or whatever the hell they're called.
and there's some
another-
river that divides them, and
Yeah, they signed a treaty long ago that said the river that divides the two villages or tribes,
Will be the
or whatever
boundary.
the fuck they're called.
but of course the Cardassians
yeah,
altered
the
the boundary.
Cardassians ended up rerouting the river during the occupation.
So they have way more land.
So now the deal that existed before is no longer really the deal that was made because the river has been rerouted, and she's not willing to give up the land, and and then she befriends Jake and Nog, and a bunch of stupid shit happens that's not
It
worth
really is
thinking
a bad
about.
episode. The ending is really bad too.
And not
this
only-
plot line really goes nowhere. She's just kind of like a petulant child when she gets there, and Jake and Nog somehow help her learn to not be a petulant child. But there's no consequence. Feels like there's no weight to the fucking side plot.
Oh no, dude! It truly just wraps up like,
like,
well, the
yeah.
negotiations went well.
Yeah.
I hope they can accept free trade, and my people will be happy.
Oh, by
I'm
the
sure they
way-
will be.
All right, so this is great too because the old Syrah that they came to save is dying, and he dies on with there being still one night left, and he says Chief O'Brien is the new Syrah, and the whole village, of course, starts trying to give him stuff and get his blessing. They even try to give him some women at some point, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a married man."
Can't do
You
it.
know?
Stupid ass fucking pussy whipped ass Chief O'Brien.
Yeah, when I have my angel Keiko back at the stake, and she's a total bitch. But anyway,
And a terrible actress.
oh yeah, But the thing is though that there's this other dude that was training to be the Syrah that I guess failed to repel the Dalrock with his story on the previous night, so the villagers have no faith in him.
He shows up and tries to kill
So
O'Brien.
he shows up. Yeah, he shows up and tries to stab O'Brien. Another attempted murder that's just treated like it's nothing. Like,
Come on, settle down now.
Then O'Brien and Bashir talk to him, and eventually, whatever. O'Brien makes this really ham-fisted attempt to tell the story and stave off the Darmok, and it's just like really disappointing what he's able to come up with. He's just like, oh yeah, there's the Darmok. There it is, and it's coming, but the village is strong, and yeah.
Oh, he's calling
Look
the
at us.
Darmok.
Look at us. We're all
Darmok,
strong. Look,
Angela,
there's the Darmok.
Tanagra.
Yeah, and it's just like, what the fuck, dude?
What does it call you? The Dalrog?
The Dalrock.
Dalrock.
Whatever.
Oh,
Who
Dalrock.
cares? This
it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
I mean, the fact that this is the like, well, whatever.
I mean, well, it is shocking as O'Brien does take up the position and is left on the planet for the rest of the series. No, the Syrah, O'Brien fucking horribly fails. Like Paul said, it's totally ham-fisted. He can't do it. The other Syrah steps in, whips the village up, and the Syrah actually explains it's actually the villagers conjuring up the Dalrock, and they're also the ones that can repel it. And it's just an act of the villagers have unity.
And here you see the controversial Jake Sisko Bukaki scene,
which we won't get into here.
that I think was in really poor taste. But
Really poor taste.
I
and
think it was
this,
a ballsy
This plot
move.
line,
A ballsy
I mean,
move.
it just doesn't go anywhere. It's not even meaningful. It's just filler.
Filler episode.
It was
Terrible.
like it was just like two bad ideas for plot lines. They just decided let's put these two piece of shit stories
So
together.
what was it? What did it get on IMDb? What did
It got a
people rate?
6.
Too high.
Yeah, this is like a 4.
This is like a 4 or a 5.
It's real bad. It's poopy.
You know what? I'll split the difference. 4.5.
I'm gonna go with 4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with
I guess I have to
4.5.
sign in for that. Whatever.
Poop.
But yeah, it gets a 4 from me as well. I think that's about as much as I could possibly give it.
4.5, I think, is where it's a fair rating.
So what's next?
The next episode is Progress. Has a 6.8 on IMDb. This is where Kira goes to convince this Bajoran to leave his home because it's going to be uninhabitable.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's going to be this big mining operation that's going
on some moon.
Ruin the air and shit. Yeah, he lives on some kind of moon or some shit.
This is a good episode.
Yeah, I think this episode is actually pretty decent.
One of the few decent ones in this final run of 6.
Yeah, I think that Kira's relationship with the old man is pretty good. I mean, maybe you should.
Of him.
Yeah, this is him here.
Oh, can you give me a screen?
Oh, you don't have a screen?
No, but I got Beavis.
Beavis.
I've got.
Hey, Beavis.
Yeah, this is the guy here.
This guy does a pretty good job. Brian Keith.
Kind of looking like a low-rent Anthony Hopkins here, but he does a really good job. And
very rusty, folksy voice.
I mean, it's really just kind of, unlike that last episode that was really difficult to explain, this one's pretty easy to explain. It's just the typical, like, you got to get out of here, old man.
No.
Nope, I'll live here for 70 years. I'll die,
It is funny, though, because none of the other... That is a funny point that Scotty brings up, his rustic accent. I didn't really think about it when I was watching it, but apparently this is just more proof that, like, living in the wilderness makes you talk like this.
Yep.
I've been here long enough, little darling.
I might gonna leave.
Why is a Bajoran talking like that?
Why are they talking? Why are they speaking English at all?
Yeah, well, whatever.
I mean, well, the universal translator and all that.
But I agree. This is a pretty decent episode, mostly on the strength of the main plot line with Kira and the old man.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the subplot was. It looks like
TJ described it to me as I was watching it as the first time Kira really has to come to grips with being the man.
Yes,
which is true.
Yeah.
This is her where she has to kind of decide, because he's not going to leave. And she knows if he stays there, he's just going to die a horrible death choking on the poison atmosphere and shit. So she's got to decide, do I be kind of fascist here and remove this dude from his home and everything he's built here against his will to save his life? Is that, and ultimately she decides to do that.
I mean,
there's
a lot of
scene with Cisco where... he basically just brings all of her fears to the forefront and just makes her confront them directly. It's like, when you were fighting the Cardassians, they were on this side, but now you're on the other side of this. So, she had to just come to terms with that, and it's a pretty interesting episode from that perspective.
It's a good character arc for Kira. Cisco, their relationship expands. She actually starts to finally accept her position as an authority figure.
But it's kind of funny, though, because I agree with you. It feels like Kira and Cisco kind of have a bonding moment in this episode, but the next few episodes are all kind of dedicated towards destroying that and making them more at odds with one another in various ways. I mean, sometimes it's forced, sometimes not. But was there a side plot in this one with Jake and Nog again?
There was a Jake and Nog subplot.
Where Cisco doesn't want him. Yeah,
two
right.
in a row, Jake and Nog subplots.
Well, the subplot here is a little bit more tolerable. It's just about them, their adventures in capitalism.
The stem bolts, right?
I kind of disagree, honestly. I didn't like the subplot. I thought it detracted from the episode. I would have rather seen more interesting, interactions with the main subplot. Because, it's a dumb little thing where Jake and Nog, fucking, what is it? Quark has a bunch of Yammick sauce.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And that's something that the Cardassians really like. But there's no more Cardassians on DS9. So what am I going to do with all this goddamn Yammick sauce? And then
don't forget Garrick.
Concoct a way to fucking,
They trade it for self-sealing stun bolts, and then they trade that for land, and then the land is
a reclamation factory,
and then they make a bunch of money, and and then nothing ever happens with it ever again.
Right,
so
you never hear why Jake and Nog, the fucking quadrillionaires.
I feel like it doesn't, it kind of takes away from the dramatic impact of what should otherwise be a serious episode.
With you too. At this point, I was just getting kind of weary of Jake and Nog. They've got so many other interesting characters on this place. Why are Jake and Nog?
Yeah, why don't we get a Dax episode? Why don't we get a fucking Odo episode? Why don't we get a Quark episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in later seasons, honestly, in later seasons,
one, I think maybe I just cut their subplot from the other one, or maybe move this subplot to that one.
In later seasons, they rightfully stop focusing as much on Jake and Nog, and they kind of, I won't. It's not. I don't think it's spoiling too much to say that Jake is largely written mostly off the show.
I'm not shocked.
I mean, he's still a character, but the extent he's used is this is probably as an overload in the first season.
Although, one of the most beloved episodes kind of centers around Jake, although he's not. It's not played because by the same actor, though. So whatever. It doesn't matter.
Not because of him. Whatever.
Jake and Nog.
Jake and Nog. Quit trying to make them work.
Jake and Nog.
They really
idiots. Dum 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 dum
Yeah,
dum.
they really kind of tried to set them up.
Just blah.
Like in this early season, they really kind of try to set them up as like the troublemaking kids on the station, and they kind of drop that.
Well, this show is big about pairing opposites. So you have Kira and Cisco, which Cisco is like, I must do my duty, and Kira's like, I'm not really comfortable, using my authority and power.
Quark and
Odo, order and chaos. So this is a very common thing, but this episode it actually really does work. It's a really good episode, and I highly recommend it. 6.8, I say is a little bit low. I would probably give the episode about a 7.5.
Yeah, I'd give it about a 7 myself.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a really great scene at the end. I think they kind of sums this episode up where they're going to build. This guy's like going to build like a kiln, and Kira helps him complete it, and then she destroys his house and everything else, and is like,
she literally burns his house down.
Yeah,
at the end. Like, nope, you ain't got none here anymore. Let's go.
Like she basically says like, I'm gonna let you have this achievement because this guy talks about this episode like, I built this with my hand, my bare fucking hands. I fucking tilled the earth with my hands to make this work, and he's like, well, it's all destroyed. You're going. That's it.
Yeah, it's another more moral ambiguity, which is always good. The best episodes are the most morally ambiguous episodes.
This is one of the few episodes in this first season that seems to understand what DS9 is and what makes it different.
And one of the writers is Gene Roddenberry.
Well, that's just based on Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
He's credited in every episode of.
I didn't realize. I didn't realize. I thought they just actually had written the episode.
Nope.
So I know he died. So I was like, maybe they had an old one in. Oh, you're right.
Yeah, he's just credited in everyone as the creator.
Well, that's stupid.
And then, oh boy, if wishes were horses.
If wishes were horses.
This is a dog shit episode.
I'm Rumpelstiltskin.
Basically, some alien form of life comes out the wormhole, which is, a big MacGuffin in this series. Whenever they need something to do, it's like, something's coming through the wormhole. Well, something comes through the wormhole. They don't know what it is. It turns out to be an entity that, like, interacts with people via their imaginations, I guess. And this one here is conjured up by fucking Chief O'Brien because he's telling his little girl a story about Rumpelstiltskin. And then Rumpelstiltskin fucking appears, and he's got all the powers of Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember they have the thing with the kid. It's all like, Rumpelstiltskin is here. And it's all like, you're being imaginative. He's not really here. Oh, he is.
You're just
what a
being
shock.
imaginative. Look, we'll go find him. And, like, he goes in there and Rumpelstiltskin's actually there. There's a bunch of bullshit. Like, everybody kind of imagines different shit.
Yeah, it's snowing on the promenade.
Yeah, there's weird emus and shit walking around. It's because the aliens, like, they're like, we don't understand imagination, so we decided to do this test to see what it's all about.
What?
How did you imagine the test then?
Paul, I know for a fact Paul hated the fuck out of this scene.
Oh, yeah, this sucked. So, in the vein of everybody gets what they imagine, fucking dumbass Dr. Bashir here imagines horny Jadzia Dax, basically. So it's Dax, but she just can't stop lusting after fucking Julian Bashir's tiny little insubstantial cock. And it's horrible to watch because it's the same actress, and I love Jadzia, and I don't want to see her get together with fucking Dr. Bashir.
One thing I do like is how she basically is kind of just like the whole time kind of mocking him. Kind of like, oh, that's how I should be?
Yeah.
I should be demure and submissive to you. And it's like, oh, no.
There's another scene, too, like another one of the dudes that's all imagined up is this fucking baseball player from the future named Buck Bokai.
A fat, short Asian man.
Whatever, I guess baseball really went to shit towards the end.
Oh, no, and they say he's the greatest of all time in the show.
But whatever, he doesn't look like he's the greatest of all time. He doesn't.
Maybe a fucking chili dog eating contest or something.
But whatever, he's wandering around all the time, and it's just a bad episode, man. If they were really ballsies, they should have done a two-parter and had them all get comm badges, and we could have like Buck Bokai and Horny Jadzio away team episode. You know what I mean? Just to see what happened. You know, and then fucking
Okay, Ben.
Rumpelstiltskin shows up at the end and helps them with his magic and saves them. You know, but
And the other subplot is there's a fucking tear in space threatening the station.
well, that's and they
And then
think
it
it's
turns out
connected.
that's imaginary too.
They imagine the whole thing.
Yeah. Anyway, it sucks.
It's a
There's really not
terrible
much to
episode.
say about it. The
I mean,
plot's all over.
the
place.
end of it is
Stupid.
it's Ben and Buck Mackay or the Buck Mackay alien talking. It's like, hey, let me know something about you. Maybe next year. So they never come back. Nothing ever comes of it.
pretty terrible.
Total waste of an episode.
Apparently, this episode must have its defenders because it's sitting at a 6.5. Which
That's
seems
way too
I think that's woefully too high.
super
I would say this is.
generous.
This is among the worst episodes of DS9. I'd probably rate it about a 2.
I mean, I don't know if I'd go as low as a 2, but I think like a 3.5. Like it really is poopy.
Dude, this episode put me
I'm
to
at
sleep.
3, so yeah, we're all
Terrible fucking episode. I
we're all
hate
in that
this fucking
lower
episode.
quadrant. Yeah, this episode's no good. I still think I hate the go home, come away home, fly away home, whatever the fuck it's called. I hate that one
Come
worse.
fly with me. Come.
This is
fly
definitely a
away.
wretched episode, and not really a whole lot to say about it because it just sucks.
It just sucks and it's horrible.
The Forsaken.
Dun, 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 dun.
Now let me just say this: when Loxana Troy,
Roxana. Ooh.
I can't pronounce her fucking name. I'm sorry. When every episode she was ever on of
TNG.
TNG were always some of my least favorite episodes. I do not like her character. She annoys me. But I think she was actually used pretty effectively in this episode.
I don't know. I think you're giving her a pass because this episode is such a great Odo development episode.
Yeah, but I think that she prompts it because she's just way more forward with him than anyone else would be, and she basically sexually harasses Odo in this episode.
I mean, over and over, constantly, clearly against his wishes.
Yes.
But
This is a Me Too episode for
Right.
Odo.
Isn't the other part of this the program that takes control
Oh yeah,
station?
Pup. Yeah, the fucking.
Yeah. So there's kind of two things that are going along in this episode. There's a weird digital entity that comes flying out of the wormhole. Once again, the MacGuffin of like something crazy's coming out the wormhole.
Oh, what is it?
Well, I think it's kind of dumb too. Their protocol is pretty lame. They're just like, oh, there's just a big bunch of computer data on this. Download it immediately and integrate it with our system. You know, it's just like what? Like,
So
we
shit
don't wanna
starts-
make sure it's not dangerous.
Shit starts going haywire on the station.
Right. Well, at first, shit starts working better on the station.
Yeah, very briefly.
And they're just like, oh, wow, what's going on? The computer's more responsive and shit. But it turns out it's this, like, AI entity. O'Brien figures out it's kind of like a baby or a puppy, and it just wants to be interacted with. And he figures out a way to do that. But in doing that, it shuts down a lot of the systems on the ship. And one of the systems that gets shut down is the turbo lifts. And Odo and Loxana Troy get trapped in the turbo lift together. And instead of it turning into like just a really gross, like constant sexual harassment scene, they actually have kind of a cool discussion. She goes on and on for a while, but it ends up revealing a lot about Odo and how separated he feels from other people and how bashful he is about changing shape in front of other people too. Because Odo, as we know from earlier episodes, every 16 hours has to go lay in the bucket and become liquid and regenerate himself.
He kind of elucidates why. He's like, because he was actually, Odo was found and studied by a scientist in a lab. So he was like, he actually tried to please people, like, oh, I can change shape. So I'm just going to change to please people. Oh, look, I can do this, I can do that. But then he kind of realized he was just being treated as an, just attraction, amusement. Okay, now do this, now do that. Well, that's interesting, but they actually didn't value him as a person or as an entity. It was just, you can change shit, so that's all they want
He
you
was a
for.
party trick.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that, so now he doesn't like shape-shifting in front of anybody, but in this case, he doesn't have the choice. He's trapped in this fucking place, can't get to his bucket, can't get to privacy. But he comes to trust Loxana Troy a little bit, that she's not going to be judgmental of him, and she takes care of him. She kind of holds his puddle in her dress.
Yeah, she has a big reveal. She's like, this is even my real hair. I don't want to, and she's like saying, I don't even want to be ordinary. Like, so I'm like really actually envious of you because nothing about you is ordinary, and I just feel I am really in my core. I act so over the top because I do feel ordinary, and I do feel like I have to do this to distinguish myself. from other people.
I think they could have accomplished this. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to whine about it. Like, it didn't offend me, but I didn't think they needed to go as over the top with the crazy, like her just hanging on him and grabbing on him constantly shit.
I mean,
no.
As much as that, you're probably right, but that is kind of in keeping with the character that she'd established
Definitely.
as being.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it probably would have been.
I mean, if all the
inconsistent to write her
characters to
two
cross
different
over,
than that.
though, I mean, let's be honest. Loxana is... Well, Roxana, I don't know how the fuck you say her name, is a terrible choice. I mean, this episode, she actually did work in it.
I mean, I don't know.
So
I
I'll
think
give
they
them
actually,
credit.
I mean, like, that's what I'm saying is I don't like her character. I never liked her, any appearance she had on TNG.
No, I actually hated
It was
her TNG.
always annoying. I take that back. There was an episode where she was getting married that was actually kind of interesting. But I do think she was used effectively here. I think that she was an interesting choice to try to pull Odo out of his shell because she's so...
Did she have like a love affair with Q at one point, or am I remembering wrong?
I don't recall that.
Okay.
She had the hots for Picard.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, they were definitely trying to do some crossover with the two series because they're both running at the time. So they were definitely trying to cross over some of the characters. Like they had a Q crossover in the first season, which was that was a horrible episode. This one actually works a lot better. 6.9 rating. I feel 7 is probably about a good number for this episode.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in agreement.
IMDb pretty much got it right.
I'm gonna say
It's kind of sad what happens to
6.97.
the computer entity, though.
Yeah, that is true.
No,
He gets locked in the computer forever.
they create a program for him. He's happy.
Yeah, they create a program, but he's like trapped inside their computer forever in a box. Basically, it's like getting a puppy and being like, "Oh, I got the fucking, you know what? He's fucking around. He's pooping on the floor. The fucking DS9.
I know. We'll lock him in a box forever.
We'll just get a crate and throw him in that and put him in a dark closet. That'll take care of him."
Nah, I don't think it's that bad.
Well,
you're
yeah,
probably right.
It's probably not as
There's
bad
probably
as
things
that.
for it to do in there.
I mean, it's an AI. I mean, it can probably interact with the elements it needs to feel satisfied.
Well, whatever. At any rate, it's not a bad episode.
Nah.
It's not like doesn't stand out as great, but it's pretty decent.
Yeah, it's all right. Pretty much only for the Odo development.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I agree with this episode with this rating.
Dramatis personae. The entire station's command staff, save Odo, become power hungry and vie to defeat each other by forming secret alliances and plotting assassinations.
You know, the first thing I've got to say about this episode is cool concept, bad execution.
Yeah.
I think the concept of like a malevolent force that forces people to kind of become Machiavellian and start scheming against one another is interesting, but it's just not portrayed very interestingly here. It happens too suddenly. It's too obvious. Like when people are being evil, they're totally like when Kira gets infected with it or whatever the fuck. She goes to Odo and she's trying to win. It's not like Kira going like, "Hey Odo," like she normally would be, brash and in his face and shit. "I need your help on this." She's like, "Odo, I need your help on something. Do you mind?" She's basically like fingering her pussy in his office, and Odo's like, "What is going on?" Like obviously he knows something's up. It's just really like all the performances of like their evil counterparts that are being twisted. Like even fucking Cisco is bad in this episode, which is rare. His like evil Cisco is just like, I don't know, some Bond villain gone off the. He's just like creates this. He's creating this weird.
Yeah, this weird clock or something. Yeah.
And this big loop of magnification, and he's like, "I don't care. Do what you have to do. If she wants to be a bug, we'll squash her." You know, it's just like everybody just. I mean, if they would have been more subtle with it and made it like.
Well, everyone becomes totally over the top in this episode.
Oh yeah, Bashir is one of the only other ones that isn't affected by it, right? I think.
Well, he actually is affected, but
but he plays
this
along with Odo.
Yeah, Odo's the only one that's actually. Remember in the beginning they have the scene where Odo gets hit with the telepathic thing because he's a shapeshifter, a changeling. He just kind of knocks him out for a couple hours, and it's like, oh, okay, he's fine.
Yeah. Everybody else on the ship was affected, but because his biology is so inscrutable, it didn't affect him, basically.
Yeah.
So he's the only one that can save the ship. They've all been turned into over-the-top, obvious villains, plotting and scheming against one another. And like I said, it could have been a pretty cool concept. I just think it's way over the top dramatically here. And it hurts the episode.
And the way they fucking solve it is just like it's just a total like fucking rushed, forced ending. Basically, they have a showdown. Cisco and O'Brien. It's basically Cisco and O'Brien versus Kira and the rest of the Bajorans on the station. And Dax, I think, and Bashir are on Kira's side too.
Yep.
They have a big confrontation in ops. The chief and Cisco just barely managed to transport away. Basically, Odo decides to trap them all in one of the cargo bays. They develop some sonic impulsor ray or some shit that just they hear, and it makes the telepathic entities just fly out of their heads. And then they have a really dumb scene, which is they shoot it out the airlock. They fucking do it. They pull an alien, they shoot it.
Oh, yeah, that was so... I noticed that because I'm writing a fucking Alien script right now.
They shoot out...
a scene where, like, they blow it out of the airlock like Ripley does, but it's a lame entity. It's not a cool-ass queen.
It's like some fucking... It's like a giant purple fart gets forced out of the airlock, dude.
So DS9 farts.
So it was just... and it's one of those episodes that, like, doesn't have any kind of resonating consequence in the series. I can tell it's just never going to come up again.
No,
it was
it
a
doesn't.
ham-fisted way to show the kind of conflicts between these people. We already know the kind of internal conflicts and the character conflicts that they have with one another. Just bad, right? I didn't like this episode. It was boring.
I don't think I'm quite as critical as you guys, but I don't think it's good either. As far as my rating goes,
I don't think that's accurate.
I'd probably put it around 4.5, 5.
It was funny when Quark had that neck thing on.
Yeah.
The neck brace.
Oh, yeah, when Kira assaults Quark, that is...
Yeah. Kira goes into Quark's bar and, like, beats him up because she's, and I guess Quark isn't affected by it either. I guess Ferengis can't be psychically manipulated. That's one of their things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he's all fucked up here. He's got this futuristic
neck
brace
dude,
on, which I don't know. I've never seen anybody else walking around in a neck brace.
Dude,
I think they just wanted some funny shit.
They're just like, this would be funny.
I wish they had a personal injury like Alien. He could have gone to sue Kira.
Maybe I just have a little higher of a tolerance for the. I don't know. Where do you guys put it? Because I'm saying
5.5.
I'm saying like maybe 4.5, 5 for me.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's way overrepresented at a 7.1. I think it may be a 5.5 or something. I mean, like I said, it has its moments, but most of them are just kind of over.
Oh yeah, I mean this the image you see here is the Cleon. That's like a subplot. They're trying to figure out. Because basically this all starts when this guy transports aboard DS9. His ship basically explodes. He dies and passes these entities on to the rest of the crew. And the whole episode they're trying to figure out. They're trying to like piece like the final messages back together. And they realize, oh my god. Yeah, it's these aliens. It's just the entities. Oh, they're telepathically controlling us.
Well, only Odo realizes that. They all descend into, like, we're a scheming bunch of fucking assholes who all hate each other. That sucks. Boo. Next.
Duet.
What is this one?
A Cardassian suffering from Kala Nora, a disease that
this is basically
he served in a labor camp.
This is basically you just can't judge somebody just because they're different.
This is when they think this guy is a war criminal.
I don't really see it that way. I see this as a Scooby-Doo episode because this dude has his mask pulled off not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Yeah, that is true.
Episode
3 times.
And I think the message is kind of lost. I think that's what they were going for, is the don't make snap judgments about people's shit. But this dude literally lies to them the whole time and tells them, yes, I'm Goldar Heel. I was the horrible fucking, I was the dude at this concentration camp. I am him, and blah, I hate you all, and my only regret is that I couldn't kill all you Cardassian fuck scum in my fucking concentration camp. And then later on, it turns out he was just a dude that worked there who felt horrible about it, who thought that if he were to be killed, it would, like, atone for his sins. But, I mean, I don't know. Like, despite the fact that it's a lame-ass whodunit kind of plot, I liked it only for Goldar Heel / whatever his real name was.
I think the actor just really played this shit out of the role.
Well, he did a good job. The same actor that played the dirty cop in Scarface. He's a really good character actor. I don't know his name. I wish I did.
I can probably see it here.
Yeah,
Harris Yulin.
Harris Yulin. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't have known that anyway. But he pops up a lot. He's been doing movies for a long time.
Goldacott pops up a little bit in the episode. This guy definitely carries this episode.
I like the fact that Gul Dukat is in it too, because Gul Dukat gets involved. So I really feel like I'm starved for more Gul Dukat and more Garrick. And this kind of scratched my Cardassian itch. I really hope we get to see more Cardassians.
They definitely. I think that most people, having watched the first season, is like, I want more of these Cardassians because they're actually pretty interesting. And later seasons definitely deliver more on that.
They deliver way more
So
on that,
for
on that
me,
premise.
despite it kind of missing its mark as a moral episode, because how are they supposed to react if this dude shows up and looks exactly like Hitler and goes, "I am Hitler. Yeah,
I am Hitler."
I gassed all of the Bajorans," and they're like, "Fuck, we caught Hitler. All right." Like, how are we supposed to learn a moral thing from that when it turns out he was?
And I mean, and the ending's very ham-fisted too, where it's like he dies, and it's all like,
Yeah, well, he's
a Cardassian.
He's
It's
killed
like,
by a Bajoran, and they're like, he wasn't Goldar Heel. It's
Oh my
like,
God.
he's
That
a Cardassian.
ending.
That's good enough.
Yeah, that ending was just so stupid.
just too ham-fisted.
Yeah, that was right in the last 15 seconds, he's like, "Well, I'm glad we were able to figure this out." And then some fucking Bajoran comes out of the bar and stabs him to death in the middle of the promenade. Everybody just stands around like this.
Whoa.
End of episode. It's like,
Well, no, they said he was Cardassian. That's reason enough. And Kira's like, no, it's not.
no, it isn't.
And then the episode ends, and it's like,
Yeah,
message. I think this episode is actually pretty decent.
It's all right.
You know, it's not one of my favorites. It's way overrated here on IMDb with
Really?
a 9.
A
oh
9?
no, baby, no.
This is like a serious fan favorite of the series.
I
for some
cannot
reason.
say that
I
I
think it
agree.
is way too sappy, way too fucking forceful with its message. There's no subtlety to it. I don't know.
Like I said, there's some good
I have serious
performances.
criticisms. The performances are fun. A lot of the actors do a really good job here. I can tell they really wanted to make a very serious episode. I just think they missed the mark for me. I'd probably put this at around another 7.
Yeah, I think 7 wouldn't be sliding it here.
Yeah,
Because there's serious problems with the story, but the performances
there's a
are all
few
really
problems in the middle of the episode. Like I said, the reveals. I mean, I feel like if they had tightened up the script a little bit, it just could have been. It could have actually been a 9. But I'd have to say 7 is a fair assessment.
Everyone's
of the episode.
on board with 7 on this.
I feel that's fair.
Kind of felt like an episode of Matlock, honestly.
I feel
Yeah.
like this episode probably.
Oh, he got plastic surgery. That's it. Anyway.
So this is the season finale, which I do have some problems with it, which I talked about.
In the hands of the prophets.
Me and Paul talked about. We'll probably get that later on. 7.8. So this is basically kind of just reliving the to make it relevant, the evolution being taught in schools argument. But here it kind of opens with Keiko is teaching the aliens in the wormhole, and this is the facts, and so we know about it. And this is the introduction of Kai Wynn, who is not having it. She's basically a religious zealot, and she's like, "No, you're not teaching this garbage. That's not true. They are the prophets." So it's basically religion meets science.
Yeah.
And the battle ensues.
Obvious fucking, evolution in schools kind of,
But also
metaphor
tied in
going
with-
on.
They were very smart because they kind of tied them in with Muslims as well, because at one point there's a bombing of the school in protest that it's teaching heresy. And basically this big divide gets created where, Cisco is worried that, and I think rightfully so, that if they go back, to this, person. Well, no. I mean, it's not really, Cisco's not super involved in this, but he's worried that this is going to hurt their chances of joining the Federation if their religious zealotry won't let them teach,
Science.
So he goes down to Bajor and meets with this dork here. And it's not a great scene, I don't think, but it has a great ending to it. Cisco has a great line because this guy, he introduces himself as like, "Yes, I'm your friend and ally."
Kai Brile.
Right, but then by the end of it, he's like, "Look, basically, he's very wormy about it. He doesn't come right out and say it, but he's just like, I can't help you because I'm not powerful enough. Once I'm powerful, it would be politically okay for me to do this, but now he doesn't come right out and say it. He says something like, "Well, the prophets have taught us to be patient," or the prophets have taught us.
Well,
patience.
the only time the Kai dying comes into play is now, because now they have to elect a new Kai on Bajor.
Right.
And Kai Wynn and Kai Brile are obviously vying for the top
So
spot.
the old lady that's pissed off that
They're Vedics.
evolution is being.
Oh, the
taught in
Vedics. I'm sorry.
school.
You're right.
Yeah.
The Vedics.
Yeah.
Anyway, Paul, you were talking about this scene.
Yeah, but so he says that. He says, well, the prophets have taught us patience, and he said, and Cisco says, apparently the prophets also taught you politics. So it was pretty good. I mean, that scene was saved by that line alone. But eventually this dude comes to his senses and decides he's going to help Cisco and try and mediate the dispute between the people. But there's already a terrorist plot in motion, set in motion by this old bag here.
Vedic Win.
Vedic Win.
Yeah, Vedic Win. She's got a true believer Bajoran woman who's willing to try and assassinate the other.
So they actually start kind of
one of the best recurring characters on the show, by the way.
Oh,
Really?
and actually, I will give them credit for this. Neela, the character that is the assassin, they do implant her with O'Brien a few episodes before. Like the pup episode with the probe that comes in.
Yeah.
She's helping him fix this. So they actually bring her, even though she's a minor character, they bring her in a couple times. You kind of see her face.
That was interesting too. I liked how they did that. She didn't just appear out of nowhere and suddenly have access to the bridge and shit. So, or to ops.
But she's an Orthodox believer. She's like she's a hardcore zealot as well, and she gets committed. So basically, the episode they're trying to figure out like, well, shit's been altered. So yeah, you see her there. So she's the assassin. O'Brien's trying to kind of like it was kind of a whodunit element. He's trying to figure out there's something was sabotaged because they find he finds one of his tools is missing, which kind of like is the impetus for this big investigation. They find out that one of the engineers
because the tool that's missing is something that can
it's a security
access
tool.
secure parts of the station.
It's a security tool. They find in some conduit. They find like basically like the remains of a body. And then it's O'Brien trying to figure out what was the purpose for this, and Odo is investigating. He's investigating.
So yeah, it's a whodunit episode, and it's a good episode. But I think Scotty and I were talking about it before.
But non-committal in a big way.
Non-committal.
For being a season finale, it does not commit to a cliffhanger. It wraps all this up in one episode, which I don't like.
Yeah, I mean there should have been a big cliffhanger, something threatening the station, and there isn't. It's just kind of feels like a run-of-the-mill episode that's a little longer.
Easily the weakest season finale on DS9 for all of the seven seasons.
But, if you take it out of the context of it being the season finale, it's not a bad episode.
No, I enjoyed it.
There's some great performances in it. I mean, it's a little forced, the obvious, like, these are fundamentalist Christians / Shia Muslims or whatever the fuck, but
yeah.
It was good anyway.
I like it a lot. I like the anti-religious elements of it. I like the introduction of
one of the great villains.
She's just a great villain throughout the entire run of the series.
Well, because she's a manipulative, subtle villain. She's not the fucking twirling mustache, over the top villain. And at the end of the episode, it's great. So basically, obviously, they foil the plot. They don't kill Vedic Bareil, which is her aim because he's very popular and he's in line to basically become the next Kai. And Kira, who the whole time has kind of been defending Vedic Win because she's more conservative too, is kind of just like, you just wanted him here to kill him, and she's kind of just like brushed her off like, meh.
Yeah, I love that scene where Kira confronts Vedic Win,
and she doesn't deny it. She's like, yeah.
She doesn't say anything. She just kind of walks away like, fuck you, whatever.
Like, fuck you, I want him dead. So what? I'm doing what's best for the fucking Bajoran people. I don't give a shit.
And she's always been a great character. This is far from her best episode, but
no, there's some great episodes with her.
But I just love that she's always doing evil shit with a big smile on her face.
Yeah, the actress that plays her is another example of a character actress that you see popping up a lot. I don't know what her name is.
Her name is Louise Fletcher.
Yeah, she's in quite a few movies. I recognized her through the makeup.
She is fucking great.
So I'm glad to hear that she comes back because she was definitely a bright spot.
Oh yeah, she is. She plays a recurring role throughout the entire series.
It kind of seems like they might just forget about her.
So.
No, definitely not.
She gets better and better. She's actually one of the most important characters probably on the show.
Well, that's really good to hear. She's good.
In terms of people who aren't in the main cast anyway. Like, she's super important. Gul Dukat is super important. Garrick is super important.
I mean, you want a big kind of bombastic season finale with a cliffhanger and, oh man, I really got to see what happens next. This ain't it. But as an episode, it's pretty good.
As a decent episode, if you look at it, aside from it being a season finale,
leave it right where it's at.
I'd say it deserves that spot. I think they probably used it as the season finale just because it was probably one of the better episodes they made. But it didn't need to be at the end of the season. It could have really been anywhere in the season and worked.
Yeah.
But definitely I think it's actually a little better than the other episodes we looked at here. I think that's probably why they put it last. so it could kind of go off with a bang. But there's no cliffhanger. There's no real sense of like this episode is huge. But it's a pretty good episode.
Yeah, I agree. So, what are the themes of the first season that stand out to you guys?
I think that one of the... Go ahead, Scotty.
Well, the obvious one is the conflict on Bajor. You basically have an ultra-religious society and culture and planet kind of against the values of the Federation. Like, they really don't want the Cardassians back. But they really, at the same time, they're iffy about the Federation. Like, they don't necessarily trust the Federation's motives, and that recurs throughout the entire season. And
yeah, the tension between the Bajorans and the
Federation. And that's why this episode kind of does work as a season finale, but it's not the best season finale. I mean, I just feel like they could have had a better episode, probably a better.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. I think it's pretty weird because if you watch the first few episodes of season 2, it seems like they really put the season finale of season 1 at the beginning of season 2. Like, they give you the big two-parter that really brings all this to a head at the very beginning of the next season.
Exactly.
So I think they kind of... Maybe they just did this because they weren't really sure if season 2 was going to be a thing.
Oh, clearly.
But yeah, I think they give you the finale that you really want to that plot line.
Well, that's good
at the beginning of the next season, and they do it pretty well. Probably better. I mean, better than they do it here. But this is it serves as a nice little thing. But overall, with the season, I feel like one of the major problems with season 1 is I don't know that it has a distinct theme beyond just like we're trying to learn to get along. I feel like, and I've said it multiple times during the course of these videos, I feel like this show doesn't know what it is yet. I feel like it doesn't yet have a sense of its own identity. It's not sure if it's just like, are we a slightly edgier version of the Next Generation, or what are we?
I don't know how much you guys have read about the behind the scenes, but at this point, a lot of stuff really hadn't been established. A lot of the main story arcs throughout the series had not really been decided on. The writers weren't really sure which direction they were going in, and it really shows because this is a very meandering season.
I mean, I feel like that I was able to bring away something that I feel like is a drumbeat that's at the heart of most of these episodes.
Sure.
Maybe not all of them, because there are a few episodes that are dedicated almost totally to character development. But if I was to pick a thread that runs through the entire first season, it would be the conflict between the Federation and Bajor, the tenuous kind of alliance that they've got going on, and the pressure from the Federation for them to change and conform, and the pressure coming back from Bajor against that, going, no, this is our tradition, but told through the conflict between Sisko and Kira.
Yep.
Pretty much every episode in this has some kind of moment in it, at least, where Kira and Sisko are forced to be at odds with one another. There are a few where they come together, too. But that seems to me to be the most important relationship that's established in this first season.
Well, in the season finale, when Sisko makes his speech, when, Vedic Wynn is getting up there trying to rile up the crowd.
When he's talking about, how we all need to come together, how we've been through so much together, and you're not going to tear us apart. I mean, he's looking at Kira as he's saying that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that relationship, that dynamic, like Scotty said earlier, like so much of this show is built upon pairs. Like, there's so many interesting relationships in this show between two people. Like, pairing two people together and seeing, like, how do these two really interact, and kind of just seeing where that relationship can go.
Well,
like, on the Next Generation, like, characters, there was characters that were paired together more often than not, but they didn't really have, like, here's this strong friendship bond that exists between these two people, or here's this strong bond of respect, or here's this strong bond of whatever.
I mean, some of them did. There were some of those types of relationships developed.
Yeah, sure, but not like in DS9, though.
No, I can already tell that that's way more of a thing here. Well, it has to be, because it's not as expansive as TNG is. They're not traveling around all these weird places. Weird things are coming to them, but they're always in the same spot, so I think they established that well. Like you said, I haven't seen anything beyond the first season yet. It's not well remembered amongst fans as being the best season or anything.
Definitely not.
But I think it does its job of introducing the characters. I'm interested enough to want to go on to season 2 for sure. So I'll probably watch a few episodes tonight, honestly. But yeah, there were a lot of stinkers in this first season, boys.
Let's go ahead and
just take a look at the whole list and just kind of get a stinker count?
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. I'll just go ahead and
I remember about
pull that up here.
30 to 40% being stinkers.
Now, I remember we didn't agree with every rating here, but I can pull up a DS9 Season 1. I think there's like a little list of it.
And the character you have up right now, Garrick, is woefully underused in the first season.
Oh, tragic.
I mean, Andrew Robinson, the guy that betrays Garrick, just does a phenomenal job.
It's so weird, too, because they introduce him as such an interesting character, and the few times you get to see him in the first season, you're just like, oh, man, I want more. And then it's like there's a total desert with no Garrick. The last, 8 episodes, he's just non-existent on the station. And it's so weird. You know, a lot of these bad episodes would have benefited from his input and his presence. And
yeah, so
I mean, he's one of the few characters that makes Bashir tolerable.
Let's take a look at the whole season here.
Emissary, good episode.
Good episode. So the opener it was a good one.
Great opener.
Emissary was good. Past prologue.
What was that one again? I don't know.
Former Bajoran terrorist.
I remember this one. I'm dumb.
Asked Cisco for asylum on DS9. Meanwhile, the station's last car has inhabitant Garrett.
I remember this is the one where it's like the terrorist comes on board, but he's not really obviously reformed.
This is the episode that introduces Garrick, I believe.
Right. So that it's good for that. But
it's
not
good
a
for that.
It's kind of in the middle. A Man Alone. Ibudan, a criminal Odo has dealt with before, returns DS9.
Oh, this is bad.
Ibudan.
Odo gets framed. The episode, dumb episode.
Poopy.
Babel was kind of dumb.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Captive Pursuit was pretty good. Q-List was
terrible.
In the middle for me.
I thought it was terrible.
Dax, that's a good episode.
I loved that episode. That might be one of my favorites of the season, honestly.
The Passenger was a shitty episode, mostly because of just I mean, it was good concept, bad execution. Move Along Home, I fucking detest. The Nagus, I think, is really good.
I love that episode.
Another great episode this season.
Vortex. What was that one? A man named Croden tells Odo. Oh, right. That's the one where Odo's.
Yeah, Odo goes back and finds, or he's supposed to go back and find his people, but it's a scam or whatever.
Yeah. It was whatever.
Yeah, to help the dude's daughter.
Kind of just filler episode.
Yeah.
Battle lines.
Oh, that's where they keep coming back to life.
Terrible. That's where they kill the Kai. And then,
Storyteller,
of course, these one we just went over, so we don't need to do it again. But, yeah, well, I guess we could just talk about good or bad.
Yeah.
Bad, good, bad, horrible, in fact.
Forsaken,
all right,
mediocre,
bad, all right,
good,
pretty decent.
So yeah, there's a pretty big preponderance of stinkers there.
So
and mediocre episodes.
So there's about, from what I wasn't keeping an exact count, but it seemed like there was 4 or 5 episodes we thought were really good, and then probably about 4 or 5 that were mediocre, and then probably 9 or so that were really just kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean,
so about half the season is really kind of just
filler.
It comes in with a bang and it goes out with a bang, but a lot of the stuff in the middle is besides it's really contingent about.
They just throw a few tantalizing.
It's what characters they focus
here's how
on.
good this can be, and you're like, okay, but
they focused on a lot of this episode on the wrong characters. Like Jake and Nog, at best, for this point in the series, should just be side characters. They should barely have any.
I mean, and they are.
Sort of
But they
episode.
just appear in too many of these.
But they really don't treat them like that. There's 2 episodes where half the screen time is Jake and Nog, and they really can't carry it.
And you see that
I'm sorry, they just can't.
The average on the episodes does go up pretty nicely. I mean, there's a little crap run there, but way more 7s.
We've committed to getting through with this series all the way through the second season, and then if people are still interested in us going on, and we're still interested in going on, then maybe we'll go on to 3 and see where we go from there.
But I really want because look, the fans who are watching this really like it, but these episodes are not getting huge amounts of views. So you guys out there watching this, if you really enjoy this and want to see it keep going, you want to see us try to tackle this whole series, then you're going to have to be our partners and help us get the word out that this is happening, get the word out that we're doing this, try to get more people interested in it. But we're going through till the end of season 2 for sure. Beyond that, we're going to have to reevaluate, but I think we had enough fun doing this first season that we're going to keep it going at least till the end of season 2, maybe beyond. I'm hoping beyond because I really want to do it, but we'll see. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Counterpointless. We're taking a look at DS9.
Yep. Season 1 complete.
Season 1 is done. Season done.